You is why can't more of the terrorist threat analysis, the kind of information I'm talking about, be declassified and shared with the public?
Well, sir, I think you missed my statement earlier in my long statement. I said a couple of things. One, it's very clear we have to move information to a whole different set of customers in the context they need to receive it in. I'm talking about police chiefs, other people who fall outside of the intelligence community. And the important thing is that we have to find ways to write things that are content rich, which compromise none of those things. And we ought to be able to do it. Because otherwise I think we can isolate all this information. And today, you know, when Governor Ridge or anybody speaks, we do that for him. But it's very clear that the information that we possess or that the FBI possesses has to go out, certainly, to the lowest denominator in the country working the problem. Police chiefs, governors, mayors, others, the public. And we're committed to trying to do that. I mean, there's nothing, you know, when the fate of the country's at stake, we have to do a better job of moving to that customer base, the way we take care of the military or the State Department or others. We have to figure out a way.
The intelligence community's analytic focus on al-Qaeda is far more oriented towards tactical analysis in support of operations than on strategic analysis intended to develop a broader understanding of the threat in the organization. For example, the DCI's National Intelligence Council never produced a national intelligence estimate on the threat al-Qaeda posed to the United States. According to an August 2001 CIA Inspector General report, Counterterrorism Center analysts only had time to focus on crisis, on short-term demands, and did not have the time to spot trends or to knit together the threads from the flood of information. Commenting on the Counterterrorism Center's analytic record, the Director of Terrorism Analysis explained during a joint inquiry hearing, quote, "While the unit's production had gone up dramatically, particularly in the area of current intelligence, where the increase had been more than double, production of strategic research had, in fact, remained flat. Early correction on these shortcomings would not have enabled us to produce explicit tactical warning of the September 11 plot. The available data was only sufficient to support the strategic warning we indeed provided, but we did not recognize our shortcomings and took several steps to address them," end quote. In the joint inquiry hearing, Director of Central Intelligence George Sennett explained the importance of strategic analysis. Quote, "The single lesson learned from all of this is the strategic analytical piece of this has to be big and vibrant to give you the chance to be predictive, even when you don't have much information to go on. I think it's a very important point. We've made a lot of progress," end quote. FBI witnesses identified little, if any, strategic analysis against domestic al-Qaeda activities before September 11, 2001. The chief of the FBI's National Security Intelligence Section testified to the joint inquiry that the FBI had no analysts dedicated to strategic analysis before September 11th. In fact, as of this date, the FBI only had one analyst working on al-Qaeda, and the FBI Assistant Director for Counterterrorism, Dale Watson, testified that he could not recall any instance where the FBI headquarters analytical unit produced an actual product that helped us out. In regards to the September 11 attacks, witnesses confirmed that the FBI's failure to connect information on Khalid al-Mihdhar, Nawaf al-Hazmi, Zakaria Moussaoui, and the FBI Phoenix Memorandum in the summer of 2001. The FBI's Deputy Assistant Director for Counterterrorism Analysis recently detailed from the CIA to improve the FBI's analytic capability, testified before the joint inquiry that the Bureau did have analysis dedicated to the sort of looking at the big picture and trying to connect the dots, say between the Phoenix memo and Moussaoui and some other information that might have suggested that there were individuals who might have preparing to hijack the aircraft. One of the primary reasons there was so little focus on strategic analysis in the intelligence community may have been the perception that operational matters were more important to counterterrorism missions than actual analysis. Consistent with the traditional law enforcement mission, the FBI was, before September 11th, a reactive, operational driven organization that did not value strategic analysis. While FBI personnel appreciated case specific analysis, most viewed strategic and analytic products as academic and as of little use in ongoing operations. The FBI's Assistant Director for Counterterrorism acknowledged in joint inquiry testimony that the reactive nature of the FBI was not conducive to success in counterterrorism. Quote, no one was thinking about the counterterrorism program, what the threat was, and what we were trying to do about it. And when the light came on, I realized that, hey, we are a reactive bunch of people, and reactive will never get us to a prevention in what we do. Is there anybody thinking, and where's Al Qaeda's next target? And no one was really looking at that, end quote. The assistant director also acknowledged the difficulty of going beyond the FBI's traditional case-oriented approach. Quote, we will never move away from being reactive. We understand that. And that's what people want to talk about most of the time is how's that case going in East Africa? Or how's the USS Cole investigation going? But if you step back and look at it strategically, you need to have people thinking beyond the horizon. And that's very difficult for all of us. It's particularly difficult for law enforcement people, end quote. In joint inquiry testimony, the FBI's Deputy Assistant Director for Counterterrorism Analysis explained that before September 11th, strategic analysis was the FBI's poor stepchild. As a result, strategic analysis was often marginalized by operational units and rarely, if ever, received requests from operational sections for assessments of pending Al Qaeda cases. In 2000, FBI management aggravated the situation by transferring 5 strategic analysts who had been working on Al Qaeda matters to operational units to assist with ongoing cases. According to a former chief of the International Terrorism Analytical Unit, this gutted the analytical unit of Al Qaeda's expertise and left it with little capacity to perform strategic analysis. The Bureau had little success in building a strategic analytical capability, despite numerous attempts before September 11th to do so. For example, in 1996, the FBI hired approximately 50 strategic analysts, many with advanced degrees. Many of these analysts left the Bureau within 2 years because they were dissatisfied with the role of strategic analysis at the FBI. Counterterrorism analysts also expressed concern that their opinions were not given sufficient weight. A counterterrorism center management confirmed that CIA operations officers in the field resented tasks from analysts because they did not like to take direction from the directors of intelligence. Despite the need for increased analytical capabilities, the Counterterrorism Center reportedly refused to accept analytical support from other agencies in at least 2 instances before September 11th. Both the FAA and the Defense Intelligence Agency informed the joint inquiry that the CIA's Counterterrorism Center management rebuffed offers of analytical assistance because the agencies wanted in greater access to Counterterrorism Center intelligence, particularly intelligence about CIA operations. NSA analysts told the Joint Inquiry staff that the counterterrorism unit at the CIA viewed them as subordinates, like an ATM for signals intelligence. The analysts attempted to accommodate the CIA's Counterterrorism Center requests for information by focusing on short-term operational requirements, sometimes at the expense of more thorough analysis, even changing reporting formats. sometimes at the expense of more thorough analysis, even changing that the CIA and the NSA did not like. Several NSA analysts also stated that their belief that the Director of Central Intelligence will always side with the CIA's Counterterrorism Center's operational personnel over NSA analysts in the event of agency disagreement.